Hello guys, Tom Yone here from Extratech and welcome to my Python Django tutorial. Okay, in this tutorial we're going to continue with our business portfolio website, and in this lesson I will show you how to configure your static files and how to let Django locate the static files on your website. So let's get started. Okay guys, welcome to this session. We're going to continue with our static files, and please guys subscribe to the channel and leave your comment at the comment section. Hit the like button. Let's get started. Currently we can see that the images are not showing, and let's go back to our text editor, and inside our base.html what we need to do is to tell Django how to locate those static files. We already have them in our static folder. So Django, I actually use two methods to do that. I believe there are other methods that can be used. So I'm going to show you the two methods. So we'll use it on anywhere you see a link, especially links that are located in the CSS directory inside our static directory. Okay, so but the ones that we got from our content delivery network, like this one here that has the HTTPS, you don't need to add this tag to it. So to let Django know how to locate these local files, I actually use two methods. The first one is this. I will start my Django tag percentage, and I'll come at the end of inside your hyperlink reference. I will end it. Okay, then you just declare the static like this, and inside your single quotes, remember the directory order is web. We have it in the static, then inside the web / or CSS. So you end everything, wrap everything in a single quote. All the static files, we have to add this to all the static files on the page. And let me just show you the second method. There are tons of images on this page, so I might actually end the video and do it, but I will have to show you how I do it and how you can do it, so you will not take too much time. So the second method, that is, you have to start from the top. This is actually the base.html. The first link I've added to the first link, I have to do that to the second link, but I'm going to show you the second method. The second method is this. I will start my static. I have to put the order of the directory where Django can locate the static file. So we have the static, which is on the top level, then followed by the web, which is a sub directory to the static. Then we have the CSS inside the web and the file. Okay, so with this now, I will come to the end. Immediately after the extension, I'll put a question mark and I'll open my Django tag. And what I will do is this. I will just say now and put a single quote or put a capital U. I believe this is actually a locator that tells Django how to locate this. But one thing I found fascinating about this particular method is that whenever I update, maybe I do an update, so I add a new image, it reflects immediately if I'm in production mode. If I've already deployed the website and I change anything, when I use this tag, the changes appears on the website immediately, but this one have to take time for the server to recognize the changes. So you choose the one that you think is good for you, but the two are okay. Okay, so this is how you do this. So I'm going to do this to all the static files on this page. There are tons of them, but let me just show you how to do it quickly and how not to take too much of your time. So let me just put a / at the beginning of the static. And okay, to get the Django tag around all your static files on the page, what you could do is go to find, see replace, and what you would do, you start from, if you're using the second option, which is the one that comes with the Django tag at the end of the extension. So if we are to start with, let's say we're starting with the CSS file, so you look for every file that ends with .css. Okay, and of course there are some CDN files that will end with .css, but then you can cross-check it again after you're done with this. So now we are going to do find and replace, and we're going to replace all. So it's going to be done in second. So if we are to replace this with, if you are using the second option, so we are replacing this with, remember how the structure of the second option is. So we have the CSS, have a question mark here before the Django tag. Then we have now and a single quote, capital U, then close of the Django tag. So we're going to replace all the .css. We're going to add this to the end of the .css extension. So if we hit replace all the CSS, all the files that ends with CSS, .css will be replaced with this. Okay, so you do the same thing to your images. If it is JPEG, say JPG, and here will be JPG, and also do that to your SVG. Then come to the beginning, you do the same thing. Remember, the file starts with, if it is a CSS file, it will start with, inside your href, you have equal to okay, so then you have your CSS / the name of the file. So in this case now we're going to replace what we're going to look for. We are going to look for all files that starts with CSS like this. Then we are going to be adding, if it is the second option you're using, then it's going to be static. We're going to add static / remember the web. Then we are going to replace that with CSS like this and put your / so you find and replace all, and all the files on the page you replace with this. So that was what I did. So I was able to replace everything starting from the beginning. So what you could do, you can, after you've done that, you go to find the individual files, make sure that you don't duplicate anything, and the tag is added to the rightful code on your document, or in your, of course we are in base.html. so you do that. You see the static here. This is the first option. This is actually the second option. So you see, so I've added all my code. I've added everything to all the codes. All right, so right now we have our images configured, and let's Ctrl S to save this. So if we go back to our terminal to check if our server is running, it's running. And let's go back to our browser, and let's refresh the page. Oh, our images are not still showing. Let's go back to, okay, what aren't we going right? Low static, extend, static, static. Okay, let's check our settings.py. Let's go back to the bottom, and it should be directories. So let's save that. Make sure everything is configured correctly. Where's paths? No, static. Let's add a semicolon here. Ctrl S. Static files. Spelled correctly. Let's go back to our browser and refresh. Okay, so we didn't spell our static, so it should be static files underscore directories. Okay, so now you can see that our website is now working. Our website is working now, except some images are not showing. So let's go back to, okay, let's check inside our main.css. Some images are there also, so those images not showing. We just have to add directory structure to inform Django how to locate these files. So Ctrl S to save this. Let's go back and refresh our page. Okay, so they are not showing. So basically, that's how you set up your static files. You see everything is now showing. Okay, so but then we've not configured the other views like the about. If you click on the about now, it will tell you page not found. Okay, and also the contacts page not found. So let's configure those other pages now. Let's go back to our text editor, and we just need to do few things. So let's close out of this CSS, out of the settings. We close the home. We don't need that anymore. Okay, we need that. So let's create views for the other pages. We have the about. I will just have to delete some of these files because I don't need them. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. Okay, we have the about page. You see that virtually we have the same thing. So what I'm going to do now, I will delete all these because I don't need them. And I will just come here and we'll extend the views at the top of the about. So we say extends the base, rather we extend the base. So we say base.html. Ctrl S to save this, and of course there are some static files on the about page, so we include our static tag. So we say load static. Ctrl S to save, and we have to put our block. So everything in between the blocks will now appear on the about page. So we say block content, and come down here, delete everything from the footer, all the things we have here, so we don't need all this anymore. So we'll just end our block. So we'll say end block. Ctrl S to save. So we need to create a view for this about page. The about page is ready now. So let's go back to our views.py, and inside our view.py we create another function for our view. So def about, and we're using a request parameter, and we just return the render, and it takes 3 parameters: requests and template name, which is about.html, and our context dictionary. So Ctrl S to save this, and let's create the same thing for our contacts. Def, we say contacts, and we use our requests. So we return our render function, which takes requests, and our contacts.html, and lastly our context dictionary. So we save this. Let's just put a space between. Okay, save this. Now we have to let Django, we have to configure the paths in our urls.py inside our web. So to do that, we add another path. inside our URL patterns, and in this place now we need to put our about.html. Okay, we can actually import our URLs from the Django URLs and use URL instead. And if you are to use URL, it's going to be your URL function will be like this. It's something like this, where you have the correct and as the beginning, and you inside there now you can now put, let's say if it is contacts, see contacts, and put your something like this. Okay, so but then we are not using the URL, instead we are using our paths. So say paths, and we say contact.html. Okay, our views dot contact, and the name is contacts. Make sure you use the correct name. So here is views dot about, and the name is about. So put a comma, also add a comma here, and Ctrl S to save this. And with this now, let's close this. Let's check our server. Our server is working. Let's go back to and refresh page. Okay, everything is working. Okay, so let's check our about. You can see now we have our about, but then there are some images on our about page that we need to configure. Let's check our contact. Our contact is also working, but you just need to configure and go back to our browser. If we refresh and go to our contact, okay, so let's go back to our web browser, our text editor, and inside our contact we don't have, we're still making use of, okay, let's configure our contact page now. We have to delete from where our navigation bar ends, so we remove everything there in our contact page, and we just extend. So we extends base.html. Since there are static files here, we need to also include our static file. So we say we add our static locator. We say load static, and we are going to put this in the block content. So we say block content, and we'll go down to here and delete everything from the footer downward, and we just need to end our block content here. So we say end block, Ctrl S to save this, and if we go back to our web browser and refresh, okay, we now have our images and everything is working perfectly. Okay, so basically we have configured the views and everything is working now. This blog I'm going to build this blog page later on, and that's where I'll put all the codes, so you guys can actually visit the page. All right, so now I want us, now that we've done everything, we've actually configured our views, we set up our page and it's working now. The next thing we're going to do is to set up our version control. and I will show you how to set up our version control. So remember, version control, we are going to use our Git software for version control, and we'll be using GitHub server to host all our codes. And of course, version control helps us to keep tracks of our codes, and it saves versions of our code as we start making changes. Like when I start building my blog, the blog page, if there is anything that goes wrong, I know I have a version of my code saved in the repository on this version control server, which is GitHub. Okay, so I already have Git installed in my system. So to initialize version control, now we are setting up version control for the very first time in our system, when we have already built the page and configured our Django. We've configured our views, so it's quite very easy to do that. So I'm going to also put the code to do this in the blog page. So or maybe I'll create another page and just put its technical information so we can have access to these codes. But then, okay guys, that will be all for this video. We spent so much time. I will continue with Git in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next lesson.